Hello everybody, my name is Zelinator, and welcome to the behind the scenes video for Population Zelinator Team Treen't Origins. If y'all have not seen the behind the scenes video for the first one, y'all should definitely watch that before this, because there's a lot of stuff I'm going to kind of skim over this time around that I thoroughly explained in that one. But otherwise, this one's going to be not as complicated as that. I had a lot of stuff to talk about there, and it's probably not going to be as in-depth this time. So here we are. First up, we're going to talk about the world itself. So here we are in 1729's house. Who's 1729? The Zelinator, the council member Zelinator. Okay, I said that terribly, but oh well, we're gonna keep that. So, this was the council member Zelinator, green hat, that we saw several times popping up throughout. And before I keep going, that cow really likes sticking around there. I don't know why, but he likes just hanging out on that corner. I don't remember when he popped up, but he's been there a while. I always see him in the background, and I'm like, why? But whatever. Totally random. But yeah, 1729 was the council member Zelinator that we see talking to 1262. Where's 1262's house? He still doesn't have one here in the overworld. All his stuff is still in the nether, and we'll be checking that out later. But yeah, 1729 not only was a council member, but the Discord user, that was the old identifier? No, what was it called? Discriminator, that's what it was. That was the old tag for the person that voiced Treaty.
Hi.
And so I was like, sure, why not? I'll go with 1729. It's bedtime, and then we're gonna catch some Z's here. If y'all didn't realize, I turned day-night cycle off when filming these because I want the sun to be in the same place. Because if I'm sitting here recording 15 minutes, that's a day and a half. I can't line that up in the night. Ruins half the footage, and so I turned day-night cycle on because I still want time to pass naturally. But yeah, we're on 1042. I don't remember what we were on back when, but yeah, this is a survival world. I still continue when I'm not filming, so it's gonna go back to being a survival world once I'm done here with this video. But yeah, this is a regular survival world still. And if you look around, there's not a lot of new stuff. It's a lot around on the edges. That was new. The amphitheater's new. The house is over there. That corner, I have a few more pathways. The nether portal, I was going to do something fancy for the nether portal, but I decided, no, we're going to hold off for Population Zelinator 2. And you may be wondering, why is this portal here and not the one at the cave? Yeah, the updates kind of ruined that. Early on in the snapshots, the nether portal that used to be out there that we see 9381 pop out of, yeah, that's still over there. But the problem is, after a couple versions, a couple snapshots that passed, that stopped working. But I was like, well, I already recorded the footage, so I guess I'll keep it like that. And so this portal is the true portal that now lines up with the portal we see in the nether that 9381 pop out of in the first one. So this portal is kind of here. So there's not a lot of stuff that's happened because this is not Population Zelinator 2 I just released. That's maybe the next one, unless I have another idea. But yeah, so the nether portal right now is basic because I don't know, it's not a lot of time has passed, and that's why there's only a few new buildings here in the city that we've seen since the first one. The walls are taller, and yes, this is the survival world, which means all that cobblestone I had to dig up myself. So, where'd I get all the cobblestone from? Let's head this way to a place that's really supposed to be here. Since the beginning. This was my fault. So, what is this? Well, if we head down here, splat. Look, it's the sacred command block. This is where the sacred command block is supposed to be kept. This room's kind of empty. This one over here, this is the important document that is not really finished yet. So if I open it, let's see. you got the RAR FabCAC, rules and regulations for actions both civil and criminal. So yeah, this is I don't have much. Coming up with more stuff to add later. Woo, world building. So yeah, it's a work in progress, and it's kind of just sitting here. But yeah, this is kind of where it's right near the courthouse. So this is where all the important documents are, or artifacts, or whatever that the city of Zelenators have, or I guess Zelenator City. That's the official name. I've kind of been saying in my head, Zelenator City. I know, totally original. But yeah, so you see, there's that big old hole I dug, but that's a good start. But where's the cobblestone coming from to build the walls? Well, you could say the mine's over here. It was going to be. Like, I started working more, digging out on the side edges here. I'm trying not to go in spectator mode because that's going to give it away. Yeah, digging more on the side edges there. But that never ended up not happening because I was like, this is boring. Eventually, I'll expand it because it kind of looks like a cake where it's really wide at the bottom and then goes up and then kind of like cuts off. And so I'll keep working on that. But what we're really looking for, if we find it, you might have noticed there are these little dark oak trap doors around. Here's one. So, what do you normally have underneath cities? Let me just casually walk down the ladder here since I can't go faster. Sewers that don't have any waters yet. Any water yet. So this is a work in progress sewer system for whatever reasons. This probably should have been here before as well because the underground is completely solid pretty much. But yeah, so I have these ladders that head up to the surface. I will say, this was kind of boring to dig out, but it is what it is. And I will eventually replace this with cobblestone, but this is the in-between period where this is like an extension. The world has expanded a little bit from the first one, but it's not major improvements, kind of like what Population Zelenator 2 is going to be. Yeah, if we head on way over here, it connects directly to the ocean. And yeah. And while I'm over here, you may notice, or may not notice, the stone wall that was down here. I fixed the chunks, y'all, because 1.13 really likes making these lines of deleted chunks. Well, I went back using an older version of the world, and I was able to copy and paste the correct chunks that are supposed to be surrounding this whole island, and I plopped them down. I fixed it up, and so now I'm not bothered by this giant stone line that you see at the bottom of the ocean. That wasn't originally like that. If you notice, it's like cut perfectly smooth in the first one when the guard zelenators are looking out. It was cut perfectly smooth because I had to pancake the chunks because they were like desert and forest and whatnot. And I was like, well, this ruined the look of my ocean. It cut the whole ocean in half. So I kind of flattened it for the first one. I was like, good enough. I'll fix this later. Well, later was before filming Team Treen't Origins. Yay! So I finally fixed the ring around there. And so this is technically, other than the nether portal in town, how the world is right now is kind of what I wish the world was really in the first one. This is kind of like the true beginning of the world minus the nether portal in the middle of town. Because we have some farms as well. We have the sacred command block area that I talked about, but we never show. We never show off. Like, it was mentioned once or twice, the area where the sacred command block is. There was no place. And so I was like, I gotta build one. So this is technically supposed to be here from the beginning, but I don't know. I don't plan on refilming the whole thing just to add the details and whatnot. Yeah, that's new. This new. This house is new. It's based on one of my earliest house designs that I ever built on anywhere. This was it's something similar. I couldn't remember exactly, but this is kind of a mock-up of my first house on the server Geeky servers that I talked about. And if y'all ever go back and watch my Utopia World Tour video, I talk about an area in the desert, a little sand pit, and I talked about how my first house on there was in layers. That's kind of what I think it looked like. I don't remember. But yeah, other than that, there's not a lot of new stuff. And I was mentioning the farms because I realized, where do we get our food? And so we've got one farm here and one farm there. So here's why we have two. I done goofed, and I kind of wiped my desktop. When I mean desktop, I mean the desktop folder, not the whole desktop computer. The desktop folder, user desktop. Um, so yeah, this server was sitting in there. In fact, it's still sitting in there, but I got smarter and I make backups off-site, well, off drive, and so I lost some progress on this world. And one of the things I didn't remember doing until I started later was I built a farm way over here. I remember I started working on a farm off in this corner, but I didn't remember that until I was over there. I was like, we need a farm in this world. So I started working on that one, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. We had this one. No, sorry, I got this backwards. This was the farm I started working on, and then while I was working on it, I was like, wait a minute, I did do a farm before. I built one over there. In fact, I also did it in these different layers as well. As you see, I wanted something special to go with the landscape, and so you see all four of these, well, I guess three of them are different layers. And so I did something similar like this before. I'm pretty sure it was only a 3 block gap and not 4, but I went with 4 because, oh well. And so the 3 block difference compared to the 4. I did something like this before, and I was like, we'll go for it. Yeah. So that's why I worked on. And so this world was being set up for Population Zelinator 2. And one of the earlier things I worked on, no, we're gonna need to get there. Yeah, never mind. We'll leave the city soon. Y'all always saw the boat dock that was slightly expanded. It was supposed to be like a full-on wharf, but that'll be for later. But yeah, this world was designated for 2 for a while. Then I had an idea. I received a comment from Potato, and I was like, now I gotta show this off. And so that's exactly what I did. But yeah, I didn't really think about it first, but I kind of built because this was a survival world. I worked on Zelenese, this building here, a little bit too early on, and so I worked on it before filming. This was one of the last things I worked on before I started filming, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. It's supposed to pop up, so in early shots, I had to be careful not to let this on camera, and I don't think you ever see it. There were a few times I got close, and I was like, oh, gotta slightly change the angle. But yeah, had to make sure this building can't be seen early on in the video. Why? Because canonically, it wasn't built yet. And so, that was all that. But there was a lot of progression on this one. The first one, not a lot happened. We're going to head back to 9381's place. Not a lot happened to, the world. There was, one thing. What was it? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, the only world progression was 9381, building the Nether house. That was about it. On here, we got to see the Nether tunnel constructed. We'll be checking that out next. The forest was chopped down. The garden around the garden around treaty. This was technically constructed, though it was constructed off camera. It was going to be shown on camera, where it would be like a construction site, where there are a couple Zelinators building the walls, and then I forgot his number. The main guy, 1262. 1262 would be looking at it. Hold on, did I see something? No, I didn't. Okay, yeah, 1262 would be watching them work on the walls there, and so I did. Oh, that's what I'm seeing. The chunk's going invisible. All right, cool. I'm not crazy. That happens in a few places around here. Chunks just kind of poof out of existence. But yeah, I cut that scene. I cut a lot of scenes. No, not really. I only cut a few. Well, not even scenes, several shots. It would have been 3 to 5 minutes longer if I kept all the extra lines, all the extra visuals that I wanted to include. Yeah, none of that ended up happening. Well, I believe that's about it. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, I don't know if I showed it off in the behind the scenes video. I really don't remember, and I did not go back to check. But the fire. Hi Wolf, how's it going? The fire over here. This has been burning ever since the world was still in inf dev and alpha. But like when after converting the world, I was like, why are none of these trees burning? It's like the fire kind of just stopped due to invalid data values or something. I don't know. And then I was like, I guess I'll keep it. And so I set the game world fire take off. And so that for sure made sure the fire won't go anywhere, just in case there's like a chunk update happens and it proceeds to get the fires going again. But yeah, none of this wanted to burn, so I kind of kept it. And then I realized I never showed off the fire in the first one. That's good for me because not showing the fire in the first populations eliminator means if I wanted to, I could use it for a plot device later. And I did. And so here we are. This fire has been burning for about 5 years because I started the world 2018. And then should have been early on-ish. Yeah, this world has been burning for quite a while. Or the fire has been burning for quite a while. And so I finally ended up using it. But if we head down here, the reason why this is not more dug out is because I really got tired of digging. And so I was like, I'm not going to dig this out completely. Like, I don't need it done, but yeah, there's a big ol' hole we're going to carve out. If y'all don't see, but that corner over there, all this area, way down to here, that's a lot of digging. So I might want help on this. Truthfully, I might want help digging this out because I'm sticking to my survival theme. So this will be dug out by hand, and that's because I need the cobblestone to build the walls. And so if I just poof it out of existence, well, I'm gonna have to poof the cobblestone into existence to keep building the walls and various other structures. But yeah, other than that, I think that's about it for the world. So let's head off to the Nether. Play sound effect here. Yeah, here we are. Now, one thing you may notice is that you could see much farther here. Well, we can see much farther here in the Nether than the first one, and that's because we're using Fabric with several other mods, and one of them disables the Nether fog. So in the first one, the first one was recorded entirely in the vanilla 1.16 snapshot, and so vanilla fog, Nether fog, will not go any higher than 6 chunks, which is totally dumb, but whatever. And so here, the fog cleaned up, and that's kind of I don't feel like explaining it because I don't think people would ever think about it, sort of thing. But yeah, if I had my way and I like reshoot the first one, I would definitely want the fog gone because I like seeing the expanse of the Nether. And yeah, this whole little mod pack is all performance based. It's to help make sure the game runs well because there were a few lag spikes in the first one, and then they're noticeable on camera. But yeah, this one though, I had a few server lag spikes, but we're gonna get to that later. But yeah, it ruined one of my shots like terribly and super annoying, but whatever. Anyways, so yeah, this pathway, most of it was constructed before filming, but right up here, this is the tunnel. Like early on, we see the tunnel being dug out. Yeah, this is the tunnel. In fact, it was right about here, because that's the gold you could see. So the camera was positioned right around here, and he was like, dig, dig, dig. And so at the very end, when he's running down the pathway, so all the way down the pathway, he went all the way over here. So why is the portal so far? Well, this was the nearest dark oak forest that actually had dark oak trees. There's a dark oak forest, technically, right across the ocean near where the old portal was, but those were old chunks. There were no dark oak trees there, and it was kind of a small biome anyway. But yeah, so this was the closest to the biome. But yeah, I started working on this outpost early on. This was a little bit before I wanted to switch up from PX2 to Team Treen't Origins. And so I'm very happy with how this outpost turned out. Like, I like the little pathway in here connecting the main areas. So yeah, it's intended for multiple people. And like, I have these hints about nighttime and daytime, but I never show it off. However, I realized I showed off a sunrise and also a sunset in the first population Zelinator. But that's like the very beginning and the very end. So if you want to not consider those canon, it's hard to tell. I kind of forgot whether or not the day or night passes on here until I went back and realized. I was like, oh, well, I'm already done shooting. Because over here, this is where a lot of it takes place. There's the dark oak forest that, yes, I chopped down by hand. But yeah, we'll get to that soon. This is what remains of Treaty. And that was a one take thing because I was like, I'm going to get this right. I do not want to reload and bring back another treaty. Technically, though, one of the stumps is not correct. It's not original. What I mean by that is, early on in the first time I was going to film a shot with treaty, I accidentally right-clicked with an axe and stripped a log. The best part is I got that on camera, so I was like, oops. Because I started recording and I was about to do the thing and then I accidentally clicked. I was like, uh-oh. And so, if I remember later, I'll put on that footage of accidentally stripping the log. And so, technically, Treaty had a prosthetic log, I suppose. But yeah, other than that, it was the rest of the tree was original. And I was looking around for areas around here because I had to base it near the dark oak forest. And so I was like, we got to find a tree. I've got no problem chopping down. So I was considering a spruce one. And then I saw this one over here. I was like, oh, this is perfect. It's a poofy tree. It's all alone. This will make a great treaty. Treaty was supposed to be a temporary name until I came up with a better one, but then I never came up with a better one, so Treaty kind of stuck around. And so I had all the way up until I had to record my voice lines like last week, several days before, like about a week before final music and whatnot. So, yeah, I had all the way up until then to decide on a better name, but I never did. Yeah, this was indeed Treaty, and so that was a one-time thing. I kept the tree here the whole time while filming until the very end. I was like, well, gotta do it. Choppy choppy tree. And all those sound effects, I record the game muted. All those sound effects I added in manually. And so that way it's not just quiet. Yeah. And it was also like a last minute decision to add in the cicadas as well. Those cicada sounds were from the very first one. Anyways, that's a little off topic. But yeah, all these trees over here, this entire dark oak forest, I did indeed chop down. Most of it was by iron axes and done on camera, but I ended up cutting out most of that footage. But for off-camera chopping, I used diamond axes. So what happened to all the axes? They're over here. Yay! So these are all the iron axes I used on camera. No way, the durability lines up. That's kind of funny. Yeah, these are all the iron axes that were seen on camera. Same thing down here. These are the iron pickaxes that are seen when I'm digging out the area. I was gonna put the chest next to the chest over in the city, but that ended up not happening because I built this chest here because it was like, okay, these axes, I need a place to put in all the wood because my inventory keeps filling up. And so I put the chest here, then I was like, what if I kept the axes here as well? And so I got rid of the chest over near spawn, and then I put that here. So yeah, these were all... So this spyglass, you don't see it, but it was used to get that zoom in on when I'm looking at the forest. So it was used in the video, even though you don't technically see it. But yeah, this is how I got the zoom in when 1262 was looking at the Zelenators chopping down the burning forest. And then these two pickaxes were seen on camera while the one shot of digging out the area. And I think that's about it. Yeah, I guess I'll show really quickly off the other direction. We'll just catch some Z's first, because I might as well talk about it now. But there was a quick mention of the other outpost, a spruce... Well, I don't know if I said spruce, but there's a different outpost I talked about, and it's indeed a spruce forest outpost. So we're going to head all the way off in this direction. Got a long ways to travel. Not really, but it feels like it. And really quickly, where this pathway goes, this is the true portal. If you go through, you come out into the cave that you see in the first one. So when the portals got scrambled, because the snapshots like totally messed that up. So when the portals got scrambled, that is the new portal. If you were to go into the cave, that can be seen in the first population Zelenator. That's the portal you really pop out of as of now. Over here, was this important? Was this the one I wanted to be at? I don't think so. Yes, it is. It is this one. Okay. That way, there's nothing special because that just goes off to where the city is. The Nether City. So this is the portal I wanted because this is where the Spruce outpost is. So I was gonna show this off, but this is cut content. Yeah, this was all worked on by hand. It's not as fancy as the other one. It's the dark oak, but oh well, I figured I would show it off. I'm still happy with how it turned out because I like the pathway. But yeah, I never did anything with it. It's kind of just sitting here for future use, if ever. But yeah, so of course I chopped down all the trees in the area by hand and then built the walls. I didn't realize I built them out of planks and logs last time until I finished building this out entirely out of logs. And I was like, well, I'm not redoing it. So this was way more expensive than what it needed to be. But oh well, it adds character, I suppose. But yeah, I believe that's all that. This segment ended up being long, almost half an hour. Yeah, I'm probably gonna quickly go through the other one, but let's head home real fast, just in case I haven't... Oh, there's something I missed, that it's not done yet. My fault, but oh well. So off in this corner, this will be the last thing. But there is a Zelenator jail, and I wanted to show this off real quick because it can be important. Boop! So, this is a Zelenator jail, I suppose. So you got your warden or whoever. He just stands here, make sure no one's coming down the tunnel. I almost want to turn this into like, Five Nights at Freddy's survival area, because you got your main area there, then you got this pathway, and then this would be the office. Turn around, make sure there's no one coming for you over here. Yeah, so that's all that. But if we drop in here, so you want to lock someone up, you send them inside, you shut the door. They can't get out. If you want to get rid of them, whoosh, into the void they go. And so I have several chambers of this. And so this was, I don't know if this will be used, but minor hint, the Zelenator that had to stay behind to close the portal, does he end up in jail? Potentially. Yeah, this is another big old deep hole I had to dig out. So this was another source of cobblestone. But yeah, in fact, here, I think that's all. No, here, I might as well talk about it now as well. So y'all remember in the first one, 9381, being interested in higher powers? Well, guess what? He's been experimenting. Now he has a basement. We only see him like twice, sort of as a cameo. But yeah, he's been experimenting with the enchantment table. Now, this was way too painful because I had to travel a good ways to get all the redstone. But yeah, look. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, max enchanting. Yay! And so, this was individual. This all had to be set up individually. But yeah, he's been experimenting with the enchanting. And also because I kind of wanted Fortune and Silk Touch. And so I was like, okay, well, here, I'll give a real world reason. But yeah, Fortune was very nice once I finally got it. And Silk Touch, I didn't get Silk Touch until nearly the end. I don't know where it is. I think it's somewhere in the chest. I've been living here since this is a survival world. I've been living in 9381's house. Here it is. So I have my Silk Touch, and then I have a few Fortune pickaxes by now. But yeah. So that helped. That helped with ore collection from the survival aspect. I wanted to do some enchanting, and so I figured, higher powers. But then down here, there's nothing fancy down here. It's just all the redstone. The slightly complicated redstone to make sure that all pistons are separated. Yeah, I believe that is indeed all it. I guess last thing, check spectator mode, just in case I happen to miss anything else. I don't think I did. I think I did indeed talk about everything. And so that's all that. You can kind of see those little caves, those little two blobs over there. In fact, on the right as well. That is from when the old chunks were here, and they kind of popped up. And so off in that direction, you could see some floating leaves from when the chunks overwrote the area as well. But yeah, that is all it for this section of the stream. And so, time to head on over to Premiere Pro, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the actual video production aspect. Alrighty, y'all, here we are in the project file itself. Now, you may be wondering, why is only this section highlighted? Well, simple. I just added on to the same project file where I was working on the first one. And so here we are, all the original source files, the source edits for the first population Zelinator, and I just, dropped it on in. Now you may be wondering, why'd I do that? Well, when the time comes, and however many years from now, I'm going to put all the population Zelinators together as one long video, seamless edits between the ending and beginning, take out the credit sequences or something like that, and then make it flow as one super long video. Sure, it'll be like, I don't know, a couple hours or something, but hey, it'll be the complete series as one long video. And so, yeah, here we are. So this section is what I exported just as the first, or just as Team Treen't Origins. I want to show off real quickly here. See all this? This is all this is a whole bunch of like extra footage of all the Council of Zelinators yelling at 9381. And so I thought it was funny, so I kept it all here. But yeah, this was left over from the first one. But yeah, I want to show off. Want to know what this exact frame is? Why I kept the marker here? This is the what I had to look at for 13 hours while I wait for this to render. This has took nearly 13 hours of rendering the video. Now you may notice a lot of that is because we have a lot of different Zelinators here, especially this big section right here. Once you got over like this area, then it was mostly fast. Over here, this is kind of short, but yeah, this big section right here, this took forever to render. This is the big slowdown. But yeah, I had to stare at this particular frame. And I thought, I'll just put it wherever. Then I was like, oh, there's a good slot. And so I figured this would be a good opener. But yeah, real quickly here. Head on over here, because you see, we have to wait several seconds. Yeah, so you can't tell, because if I hit play, it's just going to freeze. But yeah, all these Zelinators are all talking, and then he's kind of just looking at them. But yeah, it was funny. I don't know. This will be like used eventually, but yeah, I pre-rendered the footage. I don't have it here though. Now apparently, for some reason, I exported this at the first one at 59.94 FPS. I don't know why. I don't know where that happened, because the source video is 60, and the settings were supposed to be 60. But at some point I bumped them down to 59.94, and I have no idea why. So Team Treen't Origins is for sure 60 exactly. Minor technical detail, not important. Yeah, over here you may be wondering just how many Zelenators did I have on screen? I had a lot. Here, let me show this. So what this is my little convenience feature because this is the video itself after rendering. So if we head over here, right here, and if you count the layers, 27. I have 27 Zelenators here on screen. Here, if I hide this one, and if I hide this one, give it a second because it has to take a sweet long time. Look, I had to manually rotoscope every single Zelenator here. So I sat here for several minutes, like going, stand here for several seconds, stand here for several seconds, stand here and here for all of these. And so this is where I go more in depth in the first behind the scenes, so that's what I was saying at the beginning of the video. Watch that first, because I'm kind of skimming it here. But yeah, I had all these different Zelenators that had to be cropped down. So when you have 27 individual distinct croppings, because these are not all squares, like a few of them are in the very back, because I could cheap out there. But yeah, most of these Zelenators I had to crop out and like follow the shape to the best that I can. And if you even look over here, I just saw it. Yeah, if you look, right here, you see some of the background because I didn't crop this right at the top of his head, so he kind of turns invisible. This Zelenator turns a little invisible over here. Whoopsies. So the cropping on this is better than the first one because I tried to avoid weird things like last time. And so the cropping of this is a lot better than the first one, but still taking more Zelenators. But yeah, so we had a lot of Zelenators here on this room. But yeah, this one shot, I have a new record, 27 Zelenators, and I'm not doing that again because I don't want to wait 13 hours for a 20-minute video again. So yeah, all these Zelenators, and right over here you may see this guy, and there's like one other somewhere in here. They kind of hit the air.
Quite a
Show
shock
that
to
real
me.
fast.
At first,
Slap,
I thought
slap,
it was strange
slap.
to
So the
talk to
reason
a tree.
why that I kind of left that in because I thought it was a little funny. But when I'm standing here and I'm like moving around, getting in position, and I look up, I don't face the correct way. Like my head is, but the rest of my body isn't. So if you left click, if you slap the air, the rest of your body will face forward to where your head is. So the reason why they slap is because this was when I was trying to get everything facing directly forward. Because otherwise, if you turn your head, the rest of you isn't. And so I wanted it all to face forward because it looks better, as opposed to having your head at a weird angle. Well, anyways, so that's why. So I didn't realize this until looking back, because you see how long this is going to take to render. So if I hide this, because this basically fast render. And so I sit here, we wait and wait and wait and wait. There we go. So it takes so long to re-render an individual frame when you have this many layers. And so I couldn't double check at proper speed because it takes so long just because there's all these Zelenators here. So I have my test footage. Well, this is the actual thing because I don't need any more test footage. But yeah, so that's why it was caught like part way through development, but I was like, you know, it's funny, I'll keep it. I removed it from the second time because I reused this frame somewhere. Where did I? I don't remember. It was like the second time we made a return when it cut out several Zelenators. I don't know. Yeah, basically the same thing happened somewhere else, and I was like, I don't want that twice. It's funny the first time. I don't need it a second. But yeah, so then, but most of this is a lot more Zelenators, because you see there's a lot more 2 layers, or dual layers, I suppose, compared to the first one, I think. we head on over here, there's a lot of just one video track. And that's because this was a lot of just one Zelinator at a time. And this one, there's a lot more movement in this one. This one has, I don't know how many more cuts, but there's a lot more happening and it's faster paced. Now here's the thing with the little nether portal transition. This turned out so well and it kind of just happened. So, I was thinking, while I was still working on the script, I was thinking, like, what if he goes through the portal and then the camera follows him? And then I was like, oh, wait, I gotta add the video effect. And so I did. I added the purple swirl, and then I was like, wait a minute. What if right when you hear the epic, super awesome nether sound when you go through a portal, technically this plays when you come out of the portal. We're going to ignore that. This is the sound you hear going in the portal. This is what you hear coming out the portal. Well, that's how it used to be, and then internal server problems. You can complain about 1.3 another day. Anyways, so the sound effect, I was like, it's timed perfectly to play the title card, and so I was like, oh, this is amazing. I'm keeping it, and so that's what happened. And I was like, this is the perfect time because I was thinking like I want to throw the video title somewhere. I don't know, because I did a similar thing the first one, but what I did was it was just a fade to black, and that's not as cool. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do something a little different. And so the whole portal theme, and in the portal, I think that turned out well. But one thing I'm gonna point out, this happened. I didn't notice this until yesterday. I rendered this footage Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, because when's that upload? So on Tuesday, you see how this is square, and you see how that's a nice big apostrophe. I hide this. Give it a second. Unless I'm crazy and it wants to work now. The font. Okay, I don't know what happened yesterday. For whatever reason, the colon and the apostrophe, the font wasn't working. It was only these characters, and I'm like, what happened? What went wrong? And so I don't know what happened, but it was not working before. In fact, here, let me just make sure that I'm not like totally crazy and spitting out random stuff. It's still hidden, right? Yeah, it's still hidden. So if I head back over here, because I played the same thing twice. Okay, so I don't know what was happening, but yesterday this font wasn't working, and I was about to go on a rant, a big ol' hour-long complaint about Premiere Pro, but looks like I don't need to do that because it's fixed. It got fixed within the past 12 hours. Anyways, but yeah, so one thing with all of this being confined to like you go in the hold on here, let me go back here. So you go in the portal, and then you go all this story. Here, let me plop this back up so it looks better. Do. I'm not gonna cut most of this out, by the way, so you're in for another long video. So you go in the portal, right? You get all this story happening. Then you come out of the portal. So everything that's before, certified fact, this happened. You come out of the portal, everything here, certified fact, this happened. But there's a little line. Hold on, is it this one? I don't know how loud this is going to be.
But of course, that's just the
Why was that cut off? Hold up. Am I crazy? Did I like break something?
But of course, that's just the story he told.
Played correctly then. Yeah, well, anyways, so this is meant to be a little ambiguous in terms of like all of the events within the portals. Like all of that is from the mind of 1262. Because this is something that I wanted with the first population Zelinator. The original script I wanted, but ended up not happening by the time I actually made this version of the story for the first one. 1262 is supposed to be Crazy Zelinator. He wasn't banished to the Nether originally. He was banished to the Farlands. And while he was there, he went crazy. And so 9381 was like, who's this crazy guy? Man, he's been living alone all this time. He went wackadoo. And so this time around, that's why I chose 1262 again, because I wanted to bring him back to what he was supposed to be, and this crazy guy telling stories. And so, how much of this is true? How much of it is false? Like, if you want a theory, like, because you got this guy here, he's like, "Did I hear you screaming?" Nope, wasn't me. Was it really him? I don't know. Hard to say. It can be interpreted as, "Did I just hear the tree screaming?" Because there's no one else here. Or it can be interpreted as, "Was that you?" And in your mind, it was the tree. So that's a little thought process. And so which one's true, which one's not? Like, did the tree really talk? Hard to say. Did 1262 scream instead of the tree? Hard to say. And so uh yeah, it's not going to be obvious. And so this is kind of like my line of thinking, but if I don't say it now, I'm going to forget 10 years and I totally won't remember that detail about what I'm thinking at this moment. And so everything between the portals, I'm saying it now once again, everything between the two portals is all enclosed and it's all the story from 1262 standpoint. And so based on a real story, how much of it is fake, hard to say. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going. I don't know if anybody will pick up on that in terms of the it's just a story he told, but of course that's after I explain it, it makes more sense. But yeah, I don't know if there's only a few people will ever watch this compared to how many people watch the video itself. So yeah, that was all that. I guess the last thing I wanted to explain is I really like the music a lot more here. I'm very happy with how the music turned out. And so, um, yeah, it's a lot closer to Long Haul to the Far Lanes and like small snippets of it. And that's me partially being lazy and partially because I liked some of those tunes and I wanted to repurpose them. And so I kind of recreated using like different instruments, different tempos and whatnot, some of the tunes heard. But yeah, the soundtrack should be out because I'm pretty sure this video is releasing after this one should be releasing on Saturday the 11th, I think. Yeah. Anyways, I believe that's about it. But yeah, the music, I'm happy with how the music turned out. I like it more than the first one. The first one sets the tone of what I was going for, but listening to the soundtrack on its own is kind of basic. This one is a lot better if you listen to it on its own. Well, that's kind of more an opinion, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe other people prefer the simplicity. Oh, the thing is, some of the moods aren't entirely set to what I wanted, and so it's close enough, but it's not quite the feeling. Whereas the first one, all of this was definitely the mood I wanted. Hands down, 100% works amazing to set the tone. Whereas some of these, not as much. But they sound better when listening on their own, so kind of a trade off, I guess. Eventually, I'll get to nail down both, but I'm not a musician. We have technicians here making noise, and so that's me right now. Um, yeah. Last thing I wanted to point out, it was going to be the music, but then I thought about it. Hold on, where is it? Because I thought it was funny, and I decided to keep it. But yeah, over here. So remember what I was saying earlier about weird croppings? That's not this one. That's even earlier. What I was saying before about weird croppings was that it kind of happened, but it looks funny, and so we're gonna keep it. So right around here. So as we watch, he's chucking up all these axes. Here, let me zoom in for y'all. So he's chucking up all these axes, and then watch this one. I think, zoop. Where did it go? It kind of just fades out of existence. I don't know if anyone's gonna notice that. Um, Mute it. I don't know if anyone's gonna notice, but yeah, that axe kind of disappears into oblivion. And then look over here, you just see they all kind of just whoosh out of existence as well. But it looks a little funny, but I was like, this would take way too much effort rotoscoping his legs at 60 FPS. leg movement and arm movement is terrible because there's so much of it, and so I usually just have general blobs outlining for when I do the cropping. Because if I hide, here, let me hide that one, and then hide this one. Yeah, if I hide this one, so you see, I didn't want to rotoscope this one because it would have been way too much effort. So it kind of just, the crop just moves over, and then I timed it. I timed the recording to pull out the axe right when I was in the area. So it's like, well, picked them all up. And then, like I was saying with all the sound effects, all of this had to be added in directly. So here's the pop sounds. And so, that was not the pop sounds. I wanted to press the wrong button.
Now follow.
And so, this was the first time I added sound effects. Because if you ever notice on the first population Zelinator, there are no sound effects. There are voices and there's music. And so, that's where all of this came in. Yeah, I believe that's about it for sure that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to show that, and then I'm going to set that to visible as well, because next time I open this project is going to be in preparation for Population Zelinator 2. And so I'm going to have to slide this over. I'm really just holding on to this just because it's funny. So we're going to have to slide that over, and then I'll start editing. And yeah, this was supposed to be a short, like 5 to 10 minutes. That didn't happen. It ended up being, you see, 20 minutes long. Almost 21 minutes. That's just slightly shorter by like a minute. It's a minute shorter than the first one. That wasn't supposed to happen. Oops. Yeah, oh well. It is what it is. So I think that's all I wanted to say. But yeah, all the tree chop sounds, all of that came from over here. That's all these little things. Now, I don't know if you can hear, but yeah, there were 2 screams from Treaty. These were 2 different takes, but I was like, it adds effect. And so we have one primary scream, the one I liked more, and then I ended up using as background audio the second take as well. So congratulations, I used both your screams. Thanks for sending them in. Yeah, that's all that. So I don't think there's much else I wanted to say. This is not as complicated as the other one, but oh my gosh, this behind the scenes video is about to be longer than that. So yeah, that's all it for this time. And that completes, because the soundtrack's released, the video's released, behind the scenes will be coming out hopefully this Saturday.
You're a liar, you're lying, there is something else you can talk about. Hi, it's me, I'm J-Dreamer. I was a part of Population Zelinator Team Treen't Origins, and I played the voice of Treaty, who dies at the end. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. It's a funny story, actually. And this is what I'm here for today, to tell the funny story. But yeah, one day Zelinator randomly messaged me, saying, would you like to voice a tree? With no context. I had no idea it was for this video. So that's how I became a VA. Like, I'm not even kidding, that's how it happened. So, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna open up the document I got sent that has all my lines in it, and I will read out to you right now as to what the little, like, annotations at the end of the lines say. It was an interesting experience. I can say for a fact that through, like, the 5 years that I've been voice acting for myself and for other people, I have never had lines presented to me like this. So, you can take that as a compliment or an insult. I don't mind. So, you are voicing Treaty, the super friendly tree who stands along and watches other trees in the distant forests. One day, a certain someone walks up and you can finally have a conversation with them. Yeah, I'm trying to limit what I share with you as to potentially not spoil the context with what's happening. I'm being knocked on the window of... Where was I? I'm trying to limit what I share with you as to potentially not spoil the context with what's happening. I don't know how many of these will officially make it into the video, but I'd rather have more than not enough. There's a lot of cheeriness here, so have fun with it. Smiley face. If you have any questions, ask away. Here's one of my favorite notes right now. Literally the first line. Be as friendly and happy as someone who just stumbled upon the Ascos verse and you are looking forward to sharing all the extra details with them. I don't know if I should go off on a tangent explaining what the Ascalsphere is, but to be fair, all you need to know is that on my channel I have a series called the Ascalsphere, and about a month or two ago, Zelinator decided he was going to react to all of the Ascalsphere, and he very slowly lost his sanity, and it was very funny to watch. So, yeah, there's a few other lines that are just, like, interesting. Like this one. You just won the lottery and found out it will be minimally taxed. You just had the greatest idea in your entire life and are overjoyed at the opportunity to tell someone about it. With the death scene where Treaty gets cut down, it's just, no! The axe repeatedly plunges into your wood, getting every piece. Try to yell the best you can and drag it out. This is Treaty's dying cry. You'll probably want to record this at a time when people won't question if you're alright. Yeah, so, voice acting for this was very funny. It was fun. It didn't really take that much time out of my day to do it. So yeah, I voiced a tree. And I guess I can go into, like, specifics of how I did the voice. So this is my regular speaking voice. This is how I regularly speak. And then my 3D voice is kind of, like, higher pitched. I go up a little bit. Why, hello there! It's literally just my regular voice, but more energetic. So yeah. You can move on to the rest of the video now. Actually, I don't think there's that much left of the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed me voicing a tree that died.
So yeah, thank you all for watching. Bye.